Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to the Garden of Grace Devotions. My name is Pastor Katie Christie and I'm one of the pastors at Trinity Lutheran Church in Lilburn, Georgia. Recently, my husband reminded me of a poem by Shel Silverstein. The title of the poem is Smart. It reads, "My dad gave me a $1 bill 'cause I'm his smartest son. And I swapped it out for 2 shiny quarters, 'cause 2 is more than 1. And then I took the quarters and traded them to Lou for 3 dimes. I guess he didn't know that 3 is more than 2. Just then along came old blind Bates, and just 'cause he can't see, he gave me 4 nickels for my 3 dimes, and 4 is more than 3. And then I took the nickels to Hiram Coombs downtown, and at the seed feed store, and the fool gave me 5 pennies for them, and 5 is more than 4. And then I went and showed my dad, and he got red in the cheeks, and closed his eyes and shook his head, too proud of me to speak." I laughed as I read this poem. Of course, it is primarily about a misunderstanding of the value of money. Yet as I read it, I was reminded about how easy it can be for me to find myself running about from this thing to that, trading this treasure for that one, and in the end, winding up with far less than I began with in the first place. My bucket still far from full. It was this poem and this line of thinking that reminded me of the passage in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 19 through 21. It reads, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." The story I have to share today about this passage comes from a conversation that I had with my youngest about a year ago. I asked her permission to share this story today with you, and with a little grin on her face, she said I could share the story as long as I say her name in the devotion, and I assured her that I would. So, keeping my word, this story relates to a conversation that I had with Lily about a year ago. I want to say it was sometime last fall. It was after a period of time when there was something that she had wanted for quite a while. I can't recall if it was a toy or what it was, but it was some little treasure that she was very, very excited about, that she'd been pining for. After a decent amount of time and a certain number of chores or incentives or something, the prized possession was finally hers. And she was thrilled. And all seemed right with the world, at least for a moment. Interestingly enough, as is often the case, this feeling of utopia was rather short-lived. It was only a day or so later that she made a comment that caught my attention. She said something to the effect of, "You know what, Mommy? It's really weird. I've been wanting this toy for so long, and I was so excited to get it. I thought when I got it that I would be happy, but I have it now, and I feel just like I did before I got it. I mean, I like it, and I'm glad that I have it, but it doesn't really make me happy all of the time like I thought I would." Such a profound statement from a 6-year-old. And I've caught myself in a similar thought pattern many times since she said it. Looking forward to having such and such, taking my time looking for a particular item, then finally getting it. And after the initial excitement wears off, feeling similar than I had before. It's what the happy and seemingly flawless people in the advertisements lead us to believe. If we only had this or that or such and such, we'd be happy. Like they are, and our lives would be fulfilled. We tend to forget that the advertisement is just a screenshot of time, and it's all set up to be just perfect. It's not really real anyway. The passage from the Gospel of Matthew offers an interesting perspective. This struggle with where to accumulate our treasures and place our value isn't a new one. Years ago, all those years ago, even before advertisements and television and pop-up ads on the internet, putting things in their proper place was a struggle. Treasure. Sometimes the desire for treasures or treasures themselves can almost own us, can almost own me. Like my little girl, it can be so easy for me to think that a certain this or a certain that will ultimately make me happy. Jesus' words call us back, though, to an everlasting source of joy and peace. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, Jesus said. The passage from Matthew reminds us, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I am thankful for these words and this reminder. I pray you will find encouragement in them as well. Amen.